To make this simple kaftan dress, I'm going to be using a lace fabric, 3 yards of lace fabric. As you can see, I have folded it in two. I folded it in two, and then I'm going to fold it again. I folded it horizontally, and then I'm going to fold it vertically. So you're going to fold it 4 times, one horizontally and one vertically. So after folding, I just place it on the table, and I'm going to go ahead and take my neck measurements. So for my neck, I'm going to use 4 inches as my neck depth, and I'm also going to use 5 inches as my neck width. After you're done marking the neck, you're just going to use a French curve or a curve, or you can use freehand to join the 2 points for the neck to form your neck curve. I am making sure that my lines are very visible. Because of the fabric, it was a bit difficult to make it visible, but I hope you can see what I am doing still. So I just use my French curve to join those 2 points together to form a nice curve, and then you can go ahead and cut out the neck when you are done. Okay, so before I go ahead to cut out the neck, I'm just simply going to draw, mark 15 inches from the end of my fabric, that's from the fold where my neck hole it lies, to the other end of the fabric. So I'm just going to mark 15 inches. Now this 15 inches is going to serve as the width of my fabric, like the inner width of my fabric. So yeah, we're just going to make sure we mark that 15-inch line all the way down to the end of the fabric. And please do note that if you are using if your length is shorter, or if you want your dress to be short, you have to measure the length of your dress. And to measure your length of your dress, you just simply place your tape on that line and then measure the full length of the dress that you want to use. But for me, I am using the full length of this fabric because the person that has this dress is actually quite tall. So that is why I did not go ahead to start marking any special length. So if you are shorter, please make sure you mark your full length measurement as well. So for me, I'm also going to mark out my armhole measurement on that 15-inch line that I have drawn. Now the armhole measurement normally is about 9 inches for someone like me, but because I want this to be free and is a free dress, I'm going to make it to be 10 inches. So I'm just going to mark that 10-inch point properly for my armhole measurement. And then when you are done with that, all you have to do is just make sure that your line, that your 15-inch line is long enough that it gets to the end of your fabric. And then when you're done with that, all you have to simply do is to sew, and you're going to start sewing from the point where your armhole measurement, where you marked for your armhole measurement, so that you can leave that other space so that your armhole can actually go through the dress. And that's basically it. So as you can see, I just extended the fabric on the table just so that I can also be able to mark to the end. So you have to make sure that you mark that 15-inch line to the end of the fabric because you're going to sew on that line. So the next thing here is to cut out the neck curve. After you're done drawing your line for 15 inches, you just cut out your neck. And when you're done cutting out your neck, basically you are done cutting out the fabric for the dress, for the kaftan. So then you just take it to your sewing machine and go ahead and sew. So I'll just cut it, and when I'm done cutting it, I'll show you guys how I sew it on my sewing machine. So you guys know that I drew the line for the 15 inches on the other side of the fabric. So I just turned my fabric around to the opposite side to also mark that 15 inches because I'm going to be sewing on both sides. For it to be a dress, you have to sew on both sides. So I just made sure that I also marked that 15 inches on the other side of my fabric so that when I do sew, I will be able to have a line to follow to actually sew like down on the fabric. So as usual, or as I did before, I just marked out my armhole measurement, which is 10 inches. And then after marking out that 10 inches for my armhole measurement, I went ahead to just make a straight line for my 15 inches. And then after that, I went ahead to sew on my sewing machine. So this point is actually where my armhole is going to end. The space I'm leaving for my armhole is going to end. So to sew now, I've placed my fabric on the machine. As you can see, the space I've left from the top to where my needle is resting is actually the armhole, the space for the armhole. So from that 10-inch point, I am going to sew straight downwards on that my 15-inch line, if you remember. So I'm just going to sew all the way straight down to the end of the fabric. I used the full length of this fabric, so that is why I did not start cutting for my length of fabric. But if you want to make a shorter dress like this, you have to measure full length of the fabric. If you want to make it long, you can also measure a longer length. You can make it either long or short, but just make sure you measure the length. Why I didn't measure the length of mine is because I used the full length of the fabric. So guys, as you can see, this is the finished look. It's really easy to sew. Please do like and share and comment, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.